Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Box Office Talk. This is the show where I break down what happened at the box office, see if I've got my predictions right for this weekend, and then make predictions for next week's top fives. Let's get right on into it. Last week I predicted the number 1 would be Black Panther Wakanda Forever, number 2 would be Black Adam, number 3 would be One Piece film Red, number 4 would be Ticket to Paradise, and number 5 would be Smile. And I got 3 out of 5 of my predictions right, which is okay. And you guys are... I thought it was going to be a pretty simple weekend because you have one movie coming out, which is Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and yeah, MCU films, so every other movie tries to steer clear. I thought that would just be the obvious winner, and then everything would just shift below. But a movie snuck up and then another movie dropped, you know what I mean? So it was like, holy shit, what is this? Total flip-flop. And I was very surprised to see that. That being said, nobody got their predictions right for this weekend. There's always next time. Sorry, guys. And once again, reminder, do not edit your comments. Don't edit your comments. Please, if you have new predictions, just delete the comment and also get it in before, like, Friday, because Friday is, like, when the news articles come up, like, here's, like, some more accurate estimates. That's just a friendly reminder. Let's talk about what actually happened this weekend. Number 1 was obviously Black Panther Wakanda Forever, the MCU once again hitting the number 1 spot as per usual. It made $180 million this weekend. So, if you're going to compare the opening weekend of the first Black Panther, it is $22 million below that movie's opening. But do not fret. This is not bad at all, you know? It is setting records for being not only the second biggest opening for this year of 2022, I believe it's only behind Doctor Strange's $187 million opening, but it is also the biggest opening weekend for a film released in November ever. Not just this November, not just of the past 5-10 years, every single November. This is incredible, obviously, you know, that is fantastic news for this movie. And as far as the other MCU rankings go, it is already amazingly, it has outgrossed the entire domestic run of the first Ant-Man already, which is just astonishing to think about. And I know when it comes to the MCU at this point, it's kind of like, yeah, there are certain movies that are going to make big bucks, and then there's others that are kind of like, yeah, it's got its fans, and we kind of know it's not going to make as much, so we're not going to shove too much money into it, but it's still going to do it. But it's still just amazing to see, just like, yeah, in one weekend, it has already outgrossed the entirety of the first Ant-Man movie. That is amazing. And it's only $1 million away from outgrossing the entire run of the first Thor movie. So that's pretty amazing. We're going to see it, you know, rise through the MCU ranks pretty quickly because this is one of their highest opening weekend. It is the 4th best highest opening weekend for a solo hero in the MCU. So, like, you know, not your Avengers labeled movies, but your single character. So, you know, that is pretty spectacular. Worldwide, it is sitting at $330 million right now, and it needs $40 million until it outgrosses Captain America, the First Avenger, and then, you know, it continues to rise the ranks there. This is doing phenomenal. On a budget of $250 million, the fact that they have already made 330 is amazing. It's obviously, you know, going to double that budget and all's going to be well over in the MCU land. And I hate to, you know, abruptly shift into DC right away, but we need to talk about Black Adam because I have been, you know, made privy to some information that I didn't really know. And now looking at this weekend's stats, you know, earlier on I was kind of like, yeah, that was this pretty solid opening and, you know, I'm sure it's, you know, gonna continue to be popular. Yeah, it's slowly getting up there. Now it's kind of like, well, this is actually looking a lot worse. I have only just recently found out that Black Adam probably isn't going to be released in China, which is obviously a big moneymaker for a lot of big blockbuster movies, but especially these superhero ones. I believe it has something to do with like Pierce Brosnan supporting like the Dalai Lama, something like that. And it's like, yeah, that's enough for China, I guess, to just be like, nah, this is not coming here. So it might not be going to China if this is true. Right now, for this weekend, it has made $8 million, so that adds to a domestic total of $151 million. It just outgrossed Shazam by $11 million, and now it needs the next movie in the DCU rank to outgross is Justice League, you know, the 2017 cut by $78 million. It needs $78 million to do that. And as far as The Rock's personal filmography, it needs $4 million until it outgrosses San Andreas. Shifting into the worldwide numbers, it is sitting at at $352 million right now. Now, before I get into the other stats about DC and The Rock, I want to just quickly remind you guys about the movie I just talked about a couple seconds ago. Black Panther, in its first weekend, has already made $330 million. And yes, there is a clear difference between Black Panther and Black Adam in the sense that, this is a sequel to one of the biggest movies of all time, one of the most beloved movies in the past couple years, and this movie also has a lot of attention to it because it is a sequel, but also because, of the loss of Chadwick Boseman. How are they going to handle it? Is it going to be as great as we want it to be? There is a lot riding on that. So obviously there's always going to be an influx of people wanting to see Black Panther than Black Adam. That being said, like $352 million in what weekend? In the third, fourth weekend at this point, and the budget is $195 million, but you can't just double that, you know what I mean? It's always kind of like a safe bet, like, yeah, in order to break even, you kind of have to get to $500 million. And they have not. They haven't even doubled this budget yet. They need $390 million to do that. They are still $38 million off from that. And I think next weekend or the week after, they will be able to get that money at that point. But it's like that long to do that. And especially now, if the reports of it not being released in China are true, dude, that is insane. It still needs $11 million until it outgrosses Shazam worldwide. And for The Rock, it still needs $23 million until it outgrosses G.I. Joe Retaliation. So like, yeah, as far as like, the first couple weeks, as far as The Rock filmography goes, it was blasting up in the ranks, but now it's kind of at that point where it's like, yeah, it's not even getting past some of these other ones that, some people might consider lame compared to Black Adam. I wasn't the biggest fan of Black Adam. I know some people are, kind of a mixed bag as far as like the reception goes, but still, this movie, for all of the talk surrounding it, for all of the hype that was, being talked up upon its release opening weekend, and then even before that, it probably should be a little bigger than it is. Jesus Christ. It's just, I wanted to bring light to that because, when I found out, like, it's probably not getting a China release and look at these numbers, it was like, yeah, this isn't good. Let's move on to number 3, which I guess is technically doing better than Black Adam, Ticket to Paradise, making $6 million, adding to a domestic total of $56 million. Worldwide, it is sitting at $150 million. I just want to make clear, obviously, if you look at just the numbers, Black Adam has made $352 million worldwide. This movie's only made $150, but as far as like what it's actually getting back, what it's made in profit off of its budgets, this has a much lower budget than Black Adam, and it's already doubled it, and it's on the way to triple it if it can hold over well. But even then, like, you probably wouldn't need to triple it at this point because, it's doing way better than people were expecting before, especially worldwide, and holding over pretty well too domestically. Meanwhile, Black Adam, despite not having as big a budget as Black Panther Wakanda Forever, it is still a pretty hefty price tag for a movie, a part of a series that we're not sure the longevity of. Obviously, James Gunn and Peter Safran have just been hired to make a roadmap on what to do, how to build out the series. But it's kind of like, man, it seems like DC, and obviously the pandemic numbers didn't help. Birds of Prey coming out a month before COVID, even then the numbers were disappointing. Then like bomb after bomb after bomb. It's just not. The only thing that wasn't a bomb was The Batman with Robert Pattinson, but technically that's not part of the DCEU. Joker is not part of the DCEU. The main DCEU franchise isn't performing well lately. Hopefully Shazam turns the ship around, if I'm gonna be honest, because I bet I'm sure they're pumping a little bit more money into the budget of this Shazam compared to the first one, but I even numbers like this, 352, if Shazam 2 made that, it would be a little bit better, because I doubt it's 195 million. That 195 million is going to a lot of The Rock, you know what I mean? Anyway, I'm sorry that I started talking about Black Adam again once I moved on to Ticket to Paradise. Let's move on to number 4, which was very shocking. Lyle Lyle Crocodile bumping up in the ranking. I was very surprised to see this. It's not really because of like a return interest from audiences, like, hey, we missed this Crocodile movie, let's go see it. It's kind of more so like, well, yeah, the rest of the movies didn't really get a lot of money in this list, so it was bound to kind of shuffle around depending on what it is. It made $3 million this weekend, adding to a domestic total of $40 million. Worldwide, it is now sitting at $72 million, so it still needs $28 million until it doubles that $50 million budget. So like I said, yeah, it's nowhere, it's not even, this little bump isn't even making it closer to, actually doubling that initial production budget, but it had a bump. So anyway, like, yeah, there's nothing really new to report here. It's just funny that it had a bump. That, I don't know, that's it. Moving on to number 5 is Smile, making $2.3 million, adding to a domestic total of $102 million. It still needs $21 million until it outgrosses Nope, and it's kind of looking like, yeah, it's not going to get there before its entire run ends. But worldwide, sitting at $209 million. Just wanted to remind everyone that domestically, it's behind Nope, but worldwide, it is the highest grossing horror film of the year, and that is incredible. And no, I don't count Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I start to think about that, like, last weekend when I was like, will people try to comment, like, why aren't you including Doctor Strange, because that has some horror elements? I was like, fuck 'em. That obviously doesn't count. Sorry, moving on to number 6, which is Pray for the Devil, making $2.01 million, adding to a domestic total of $16 million. Worldwide, it is sitting at $21 million. So, although I still don't have a budget to talk about here, I think I even said, I tried to guesstimate what the budget was, and I think I said something like it couldn't be lower than like 10 million. With this new report, $1 million over a doubling point of a $10 million budget. Hey, maybe it's a success. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not, though. I don't, like I said, it's hard to tell without a budget, and it's not really a very interesting movie to talk about anymore. Let's move on to number 7, which is The Banshees of Inisherin, still at number 7, I add. It made $1.7 million, which now adds to a domestic total of $5 million. It needs $2 million until it outgrosses Martin McDonagh's In Bruges. Worldwide, it is sitting at $14 million. So, not just, $21 million until Seven Psychopaths' is worldwide run, but it also $1 million away from crossing over its initial production budget of $15 million. It's still, by industry standards, it still needs to double that, potentially even triple that to be considered a success. But as long as you can cross over that for now, and then obviously, because there's no way this movie doesn't get nominated for awards and stuff, once it gets awards attention and gets re-released in theaters, more people discover it and watch it, it'll be considered a success then. Right now, it's just nice that people are supporting it while they can. I wish more people were. I wish this was making the fucking numbers of a Lyle crocodile this weekend, I guess, but whatever. Moving on to number 8, which is One Piece Film Red. This movie dropped, and I feel like I should have known that when I was making my predictions last week, and I should have known, like, yeah, these anime films usually get all their audience members on the opening weekend, and then the next one, it's like, okay, not as much, drastically not as much, actually, we're plummeting. But it made $1.4 million, adding to a domestic total of $12 million. Worldwide, it is sitting at $162 million, so it's already made back its money, probably. Like, I don't have the budget here, but, like, these movies tend to always do these bigger name anime films, at least, that get a bigger release. They tend to do pretty well. So I don't know. I don't have a budget, but I think it's pretty obvious that it did okay with this money. I think it would be pretty funny if we found out that this movie is also doing better than Black Adam. That's all I'll say. Moving on to number 9 is Till, making $618,000. Yeah, we're already number 9, and we're already in the 100,000s. Kind of a bummer, especially for this movie, which I wish was kind of getting seen more. But like I even said for Banshees of Inisherin, and also like I've been saying for this movie, I think once the Danielle Deadwyler gets nominated, because I feel like she's a shoo-in, this movie will get some more attention. It'll get some of its budget back, whatever that budget may be. Whatever it is, its domestic total currently is $8.03 million. So good on them for, good on the people going out and braving this movie. Obviously, it's not a instantly kind of digestible subject matter. It's very, very hard to watch emotionally. Not really, because you never, I think I've said this before, but you never see them, do those horrible things to Emmett Till in the movie. You see the aftermath, and you deal a lot with that anguish and grief, and yeah, I totally understand why. But still, it's a movie that I think could use some more support, and I wish maybe more people had seen it. Anyways, number 10, Armageddon Time. It snuck right back in here. I said last weekend, like, yeah, I got to number 12. Bummer, it never got to be in the top 10. And because the numbers are so low this weekend, because everyone's going out to see Wakanda Forever, it snuck back into the top 10. Halloween ends is not here anymore. If you notice, it just dropped out completely. But Armageddon Time snuck back in, making $352,000, which adds to a domestic total of $1.5 million, and worldwide it is sitting at $2.5 million. Is it enough to get past that initial production budget of $15 million or double it? Nope. But and considering how kind of lackluster some of the even critic response to this movie was, do we think it'll hold over well for Oscar season? Probably not, but hey, it officially made it into the top 10 after last weekend when I thought it was doomed. Anyways, now it's time for the fun part, the predictions for next week's top 5. Number 1, I'm going with Black Panther, Wakanda Forever once again. And then number 2, I'm going to go with The Menu. I think enough marketing, has been pushed for this movie. I think, and, it's a new thriller. I think it will definitely get enough money to get to number 2. And then number 3, I actually think will be She Said, considering, this is a movie that I'm sure they're trying to push for awards, and also because of the subject matter, people will probably be interested, and also because the other movies have made so little money this weekend. Then I will say number 4, I think, will be Black Adam, and then number 5, Ticket to Paradise. But anyways, what are your predictions for next week's top 5? Leave them in the comments below, and as always, thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe. I'm Jackson Fulcher. See you guys next time.